Hey, love bugs. Welcome to Love Grind. And I'm glad to be here with you tonight. And I'm so glad that you're tuning in tonight to Love Grind. Tonight, love bugs, we're going to talk about something that we all experience in life at one time or another. Hopefully, just the one time. We're going to talk about toxic relationships, how to recognize, rebound, and renew. I just want to let you know that I am not a licensed therapist. So anything we talk about tonight is just advice for us to heal from love addiction and codependency. Keep that in mind. I'm going to get my stuff tonight from a site called limetreecounseling.com. It's a site that delves into addiction of love and sex. So feel free to visit that site if you would like to get more information. Also, I want to remind you to please get on Facebook, YouTube, Spotify, Instagram, X, all those good platforms, and like and subscribe. And please comment down there and let me know your experiences and some of the things that you've gone through. Your voice does matter, love bugs, and you might be able to help somebody else, including yourself, including myself. So please feel free to do that. We're growing each week, and I am so excited for that. I'm just so excited that I'm reaching ears and people are listening and hopefully learning something, because I learn something every week. Mentioning the week, it has went by fast. I'm glad to wrap this week. It's been really busy for me. And guess what? I am recording during the day today, which is a little odd for me. I have a date tonight. I told you guys I was going to start dating. So I have a date tonight, and I'm very excited about that. So I need to make sure I get everything, in order before my date gets here. Not saying that I have sex on the first date. Just saying, you never know. You never know. So that's why I'm recording during the day today. So just bear with me. A little odd. Maybe some more noise, but who knows. All right, let's get right into it, love bugs. We're going to talk about rebound, renewing, and recognizing these toxic relationships. So join me as we take the challenge of breaking free from toxic relationships for once and for all. Do you guys know that an average of 80% of Americans have experienced emotional abuse? That's a lot. The CDC's Youth Risk Behavior Survey found that about 1 in 12 teens experience physical or sexual dating violence. Some studies suggest even higher rates when including psychological abuse. That's a lot. That's 80%. That's a lot of people. And make sure you're looking out for the young ones. When they're that age, they don't know how to regulate their emotions too well, love bugs, and they tend to go overboard. So if you see any signs of younger children or your younger nieces or nephews or whatever it is, make sure you're reaching out, all right? And also, gender differences and abuse patterns, they don't really matter. It can go from male or female that experience violence. So it doesn't matter. Women are just as prone, maybe even more. We're so emotional. Don't get mad at me and comment. Women tend to be more emotional. So just keep an eye out for your own emotions and for your loved ones too, or even a stranger. Shit. Let's talk about some of the characteristic love bugs, toxic relationships. They involve emotional abuse, where one partner consistently belittles, criticizes, or humiliates the other. We're talking about verbal abuse, including name-calling, put-downs. It's a common feature in a toxic relationship. We all had that one person who was a name-caller or who criticized us, made fun of us openly in front of other people, made you feel really bad, get red in the face. Oh no, that's toxic. Remember that. It's a common feature. It's a manipulation tactic. They use things like gaslighting. They might want their victims to doubt their own perceptions. So they're like, what? I didn't say that. You're like, I know, I just heard you say that. Like, no, I didn't. So if you find yourself questioning if you're crazy or not, and you know you're not, you're pretty sane and well-rounded, that's a gaslighter. I just learned that last year, love bugs. Happens a lot. Control is another key aspect. A toxic partner may attempt to isolate their significant other from friends or family. They might monitor their partner's activities excessively or make unreasonable demands. Let me tell you, that is a toxic trait, and it tends to happen a lot in relationships. It's happening more now because of social media and us having so much access to the opposite sex or the same sex. When you have other people constantly feeding your partner pictures, like just enticing them where they're at. But it's so hard these days, love bugs. It's like, I have this broad on my guy's feed, and she's looking like a whole snack. And I'm sitting on the couch looking like his grandma because I've been working all day. It's kind of hard to not be like, hey, who are you talking to? Hey, who's texting you? But if you trust your partner, you got to give them some leeway. Another characteristic of a toxic relationship, love bugs, is constant conflict and a lack of support. like arguing all the time, and arguments might escalate quickly and remain unresolved. One partner may consistently prioritize their own needs over the others. Healing from an abusive relationship is a long, hard process, and most people need the help of a professional counselor. Like, somebody who doesn't know you, so they don't have anything invested and they can tell you unbiasedly what's going on. Like, you tripping, or she's tripping, we need to fix this. When you're in a toxic relationship, it's kind of like being in an alternate reality, You need an objective expert to help you navigate through what thoughts and beliefs you have that are truth or lies. So they're not going to gaslight you, and that you can grow and live in your freedom again, love bugs. Sometimes your mate will have you thinking stupid shit. And if you have somebody like a professional who can tell you their perspective, they can say, hey, that's crazy. And that's unhealthy expectation that you're trying to give your partner. So let's check that. So what can we do to try to fix this, you guys? What can we do to try to heal, to try to get out of these toxic relationships? Our goal at Love Grind, our goal in life is to heal from a love addiction and codependency. So how can we do that? We can acknowledge and accept the reality. Absolutely, the first step is to admit you are in an abusive relationship. This is difficult for many people. It's hard to acknowledge you were treated that way. It's also sometimes challenging to admit that your loved one is abusive. It's embarrassing to think that your partner, your parent, anyone who is supposed to be close to you can be hurting you. However, you can't start healing and getting healthy until you can accept your reality for what it truly is. You have to understand that sometimes the way things are supposed to be, they're not. And no matter how much you fight love bugs, and no matter how you want them so badly to be, they're just not. So once you can accept that, you can begin to understand what you need to do to get out of that toxic relationship. You can see more clearly. Many people in abusive relationships hide their emotions because showing your feelings can bring more toxic behavior from your abuser. Also, often these feelings are just too overwhelming. There's no way to avoid the pain, the hurt, the grief, the anger, whatever else comes with toxic relationships. You need a safe place and a person to work through these emotions. So that's another reason why we talk about finding a professional or finding a counselor who can help you work through those. Let me tell you, those emotions are so hurtful and they're so pungent and strong that you sometimes don't want to deal with them. And that's how addiction develops sometimes. You want to damper them down. It was so hard for me to understand in some of our relationships why somebody would want to be mean to me, to see me cry, and not give a shit about it. I remember one time somebody told me that he just didn't care about me, and it almost tore me into pieces. And as I walked away, love bugs, I thought my whole body was going to shatter into small pieces. And it didn't shatter, but I was so very hurt. And so with those kind of emotions, I could have developed some of my substance abuse. I just didn't want to feel those. I knew they were there, but they weren't so strong. And so that's why we have to be so self-aware, because if we don't, we will fall into addictions or unhealthy behaviors. And that's an even worse problem. So not only are you dealing with this abusive, toxic relationship, trying to move on from it, but you're also dealing with this drug issue or alcohol issue that you developed to try to cope with those feelings. It's a vicious cycle. What else you can do, love bugs, is you can take care of yourself, making sure your own needs are met. It's not selfish, it's smart. You need to be eating well, sleeping 8 hours a night, exercising. If you aren't taking care of yourself, you will only feel worse, and you will struggle to function daily. Like going to work or taking care of the kids. You got to prioritize your own health and well-being. Sometimes you think it's selfish, but it's definitely not. Think of it as an investment. If you don't invest in your own well-being, you cannot take care of anybody around you, including maybe a new relationship or those kids, and you got to take care of the kids. You can focus one day at a time. The road out of a toxic relationship often feels very, very long, and at times impossible. Focus on it one day at a time. What is the next thing to do today? You don't have to know what life will look like a year from now, 10 years, 5 years, whatever, or even next month. What you do need to do is worry about today and work towards your health, love bugs, just one step at a time, 1 minute, 1 second at a time. Some days you're like, how did I get to the end of the day in one piece? And you're there, but you did it somehow. So focus on how you did that so you can repeat it, so you can continue to live day by day and get better and better. You can grieve your loss. Admitting you are in an abusive relationship requires grieving. Grief is not just for when someone dies. It's for any kind of loss. You need to grieve that this relationship is not what you wanted it to be, whether it's your marriage or a parent, a sister. Grief is necessary to move forward. This involves experiencing the sadness and identifying what you lost. Because, love bugs, when we're talking about toxic relationships, we're not just speaking about romantic relationships, marriages. We're talking about relationships with anybody you have in your life, your boss, your sisters, your cousins, anybody that you can form a relationship with. We're talking about it can turn toxic. So just keep in mind that we're not talking about just lovers. My sister was toxic at a certain point, and I had to rip away from her. And it was hurtful, and I still naturally want to do all I can to help her. But at some point, I had to realize that it was toxic. It was no good to my life. It was abusive, and I had to make boundaries. And we've talked about boundaries before. All right? Your loss might be imaginary. It's possible you'll be grieving the hope of what you've never had. If you've been abused by a parent, you need to grieve the idea of a good mom or dad, the quality relationship with them that you will not have. Similarly, if it's your spouse, you'll need to grieve not having the kind of marriage you hoped for. It may seem weird to grieve something you've never had, but this is important to work in the healing process. It's so terrible. A lot of things come from our childhood. If our parents were abusive, we know that bond and that childhood will never again be. So all we can do is accept it and grieve it. You can build your own life apart from your abuser. What kinds of things are you interested in, love bugs, and where do you want to spend your time? To truly break free from a toxic relationship, you need to build your own life with a job, a church community, other circles of friends that have nothing to do with your abuser. This can be especially hard if your toxic relationship was with a spouse. But then it's even more important. You need space in your life to just be you, to separate from the one who hurt you. You can look for emotionally healthy friendships. The greatest benefit of healing, guys, is from a toxic relationship. You'll be more aware of what makes healthy relationships. You'll be like, oh shit, there's a red flag. I don't think this relationship is going to be pertinent to my life. And that's another positive thing. It gives you insight on what you do want in your life and what you don't. You can make efforts to connect with emotionally healthy people in your life. How exciting. People who listen to you, and also you listen to them. People who help you out and also let you help them. There is a positivity in a healthy relationship. Look for people who can admit they're wrong and apologize. People who are okay with having other friends in their life, in your life, and people who celebrate good news with you, and who are sad when you have hard times and are happy when you have great times. That is so exciting and something to look forward to. You might be leaving one chapter, not a good chapter, but you're opening such a great one if you heal in a healthy way, love bugs. Such good people. And your life will change when you have positive people around you. Believe me, I know. I didn't think I was negative before, but I was more on the negative spectrum of life. And now, as I'm in a healthy space and I'm learning myself, I feel so much better. I feel so much more positivity coming my way and doors opening, especially when you put a smile on your face. That's the key. Quality friendships take work, so don't give up and keep trying. Even if it doesn't work the first time, you can still make it a positive outcome by being nice and kind. Also, love bugs, online relationships don't count. You want to meet organically. Love bugs, I just want to remind you to please share your experiences on Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, comment down below and let me know some of your experiences. Again, like I said in the beginning, your voice does matter and you might help somebody else. All of our experiences mean something. We can make them good or bad. We don't know what's bad until we are educated. Now that we're getting armed with this power of what a toxic relationship and a toxic bond is, we can do better in our personal relationships. Remember that. And remember to demand respect and love from anybody that you come in contact with. Love bugs, I just want to encourage you to make all the decisions next week, this week with your heart. Use empathy. Start with yourself. And until next time, I'm out.